We finally progressed to a point where we can actually start writing some Vue code, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to run yarn serve to start up my server, and in the meantime I'm going to head over to my app file and start writing some code. So at the moment we have all this default code. It's not very useful. Let's just make sure everything is working. However, I'm going to go to localhost 8080 and we can have this Vue app. So let's go ahead and start using our own code. I'm going to delete both of these components because we don't need them anymore, and we're going to have to go and import some things, and that's going to come from our validators script, which I put in source/validations. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab validations.js, and we have a number of functions we can use. One is going to be patient form, and the other is going to be validate patient. So that's what we're going to start with. Let's go ahead and update this as well. I'm going to delete these, and we're going to use the composition API, so I'm going to start with setup. We're also going to need to import some Vue APIs, namely reactive and computed, and those are just going to come from Vue. Let's go ahead and get something rendering and then go ahead from there. So the first thing I'm going to do is create my new patient form. I'm going to call it patient, and we're just going to make that a reactive value, and this is going to hold all of our attributes. So I'm going to have my name, it's just going to be a blank string, and the weight, as we said, is going to be an object which has value. I'm just going to set it to be 100 for now, and the unit is going to be kilograms just to get us started. Let's go ahead and return this one and see if we can get something rendering. If I just jump up here, I should be able to do some debugging with pre, and inside of here, I'm just going to put my patient in here. And if we save this off and head back to the browser, we're going to hopefully see something. And so we do, we have this, it is centered, but we are rendering the correct data structure. So that's definitely a good thing. I'm going to go ahead and delete this style. We're going to come back and update this later, but we don't need it for now. The next thing we're going to do is try out our validate patient function and see if that is working. And we want that to be dynamically updating whenever we change our patient value here. So what I'm going to do is use a computed property. I'm just going to call this one validation status to say that it's the status of the form. And that's going to be a computed property. And all that's going to do is return validate patient. And we're going to pass in that patient value here. Let's go ahead and return this one. And we're going to log this as well, just so we can see what's going on. Let's jump up here and make this one into validation status. If I save this off and head back to the browser, we should see something, and we can see it is now working correctly. Both of our fields are invalid because the name is empty, it's going to be required, and also we have this weight. We're getting the error message must be a number, and that's obviously happening because that's actually quite surprising. This is a number. I'm not too sure why we're getting this error message here. So we must have made a mistake somewhere along the line. Let's try and figure out what we've done incorrectly. So we've currently got this set up. This is definitely a number in here, weight.value. Let's head over to our validation and see what's happening there. This is a good example of why you need to write tests first. This is the first bug we've encountered, and it's also the first piece of untested code we've written. So this is definitely a good lesson. Anyway, let's jump in here and see what's going on. Our validate function is up the top, I believe. Let's go ahead and find it. Keep scrolling down. Here it is, validate patient. And the bug is clear here. What we should be doing is passing in patient.weight.value. At the moment, we're passing in an object, which is not correct at all. This is going to fix everything up. And if we had written a test in here, we would definitely have not had this problem. So we're definitely going to go back and write a test to make sure this doesn't happen. Anyway, I'm going to head back to the browser, and we can see this is now working correctly. Weight is valid. And this really does highlight the need for writing your tests. Anyway, we've finally got something rendered, and in the next lecture, we're going to go ahead and start writing some template and make a little form and see if everything is correctly updating when we enter some values.